There is, of course, no truth to Lady Colin Campbell's rumours, and the couple remain a united front.
I'm not afraid of Meghan Markle. Meghan Markle is a third-rate, shall we say, greaser and bully. I'm used to first-rate bullies. So she doesn't frighten me in the slightest. And if she tried anything on for size, I'd crush her the way an elephant crushes an ant.
Oh my God, this is a total nightmare.
She doesn't listen to anything that's written about her. Oh, maybe she's going to do a Lily Safra.
The timing of Lady C's claims is interesting. Our insider notes, Harry may not have the resources to fight another court battle now.
Everything she does ends up confirming everything she wishes to deny.
What happens when you threaten a commentator with court and she actually wants you to show up? That is the question surrounding Lady Colin Campbell, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle after fresh reports suggested the Sussexes were considering legal action over explosive claims involving Harry, a mystery woman, and Meghan's missing engagement ring.
So we've finally heard from Prince Harry and Meghan Markle in regards to Lady Colin Campbell's bombshell reporting involving Prince Harry, a certain mystery female friend in Montecito, and also a missing engagement ring.
But instead of backing down, Lady C has done almost the opposite. And that is where this story gets very interesting. According to royal commentators and reports surrounding the controversy, Meghan has been deeply unhappy with the claims, while Harry has reportedly been more reluctant to turn the dispute into another legal battle.
Which is headlined Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's upset over what they describe as unfounded affair claims. They report thus standing united against vicious rumours. This from the magazine. There is, of course, no truth to Lady Colin Campbell's rumours, and the couple remain a united front.
And Lady C's response? Bring it on. The lawsuit threat that changed everything. The latest controversy did not begin with a courtroom. It began with a series of claims surrounding Prince Harry's alleged relationship with another woman, questions about Meghan's engagement ring, and speculation about what might actually be happening behind the scenes. Those claims quickly gained attention, and once the story began spreading, reports suggested that Meghan was considering fighting back legally.
An insider telling the magazine, Harry's fed up with these outrageous claims. What isn't helping their situation is the fact they've studiously ignored Lady C, who has for the past 5 years even claimed that Meghan didn't give birth to either Archie or Lilibet, an insider tells New Idea. It's probably why her new claims about a mistress and Meghan discovering damning texts have gone viral. But suggesting Harry and this woman have been seen out and about is bizarre in a world of smartphones.
That is where the situation suddenly became much bigger than celebrity gossip, because a lawsuit does something very different from a social media denial. A denial can disappear in a day. A lawsuit can bring documents, testimony, evidence, and questions into the public spotlight. And according to Lady C, that is precisely why she is not frightened by the prospect. She has argued that if Harry and Meghan genuinely believe she has made defamatory or false statements, they should take the matter to court and prove it.
Lady C has a long history of causing problems for the pair, and Meghan, who turns 45 this week, is ready to fight back. Harry, 41, meanwhile, is having a hard time reminding his wife that it's not usually the royal way to take legal action, coming from the guy who sued all and sundry, especially when they're trying to get back in his father's good graces. As a royal, Harry refuses to engage in this type of low-level gossip, but it's distressing for Meghan, who wanted to shut down this woman's outrageous claims years ago, says the insider.
In other words, Lady C is not saying, please don't sue me. She is saying, if you have a case, bring it. That is a very different attitude, and it immediately raises another question.
They've paid a very handsome amount of money to serialize my first Diana book, which would have been in 1992. So So I suppose I have a little bit of affection for them when I think of all of that wonderful, filthy lucre. But it's ludicrous. First of all, I have never said, and this is where all these idiots will always fall flat on their faces.
Why would a commentator appear so confident about a legal confrontation involving one of the world's most famous couples? Lady C has been particularly forceful in her response. According to the source material, she says she has been extremely careful about what she has reported and that she has relied on information from people she considers reputable. She also insists that she has been measured in the way she presented the claims. Most importantly, Lady C says she does not believe Harry or Meghan have a viable case against her.
I have been very measured as to what I have said, and I have been very careful as to what I have reported upon. And I have been actually very frank about how this information was brought to me by reputable members of the Democratic Party in the United States of America. But I have been very careful to put limits on how I have presented the information and what I have said.
She went even further, declaring that she would not be intimidated and challenging the couple to see her in court if they believed they had grounds to do so. That response creates an unusual situation. Normally, when a public figure is threatened with legal action, the natural reaction is caution. Lady C appears to be doing something else. She is turning the threat itself into part of the story. And that could become a serious problem for Harry and Meghan if they ever decide to move forward.
I have not actually seen the new idea story, but I know sufficiently what its contents say to be able to say I'm supremely unbothered. I mean, you need to have a reason for suing someone. If Meghan is going to sue me, she has to have a sound reason for suing me.
Because the moment a dispute enters court, the conversation can become much wider than the original allegation. This is the part that makes the entire situation so fascinating. If Harry and Meghan were to sue over specific statements, the legal process would have to focus on exactly what was said, why it was said, what evidence existed behind those statements, and whether the claims crossed the legal threshold for defamation. That does not automatically mean that every rumor would suddenly become true. It does not, but it could mean that questions surrounding the original reporting receive far more attention than they otherwise would have.
First of all, Meghan Markle can't sue me for anything because I've never said anything about her that was untrue or defamatory or unfair or that somehow wasn't pegged in her own conduct. So right there, she doesn't have a leg to stand on. I'm not afraid of Meghan Markle. Meghan Markle is a third-rate, shall we say, greaser and bully. I'm used to first-rate bullies, so she doesn't frighten me in the slightest.
Lady C herself has made this argument. In the source material, she points out that if Meghan were to sue, the case could eventually require the people involved to appear in court and answer questions. And that is exactly why some commentators believe the legal threat could potentially backfire. Not because a lawsuit automatically proves anything, but because litigation can create a level of scrutiny that a simple public statement does not. And Harry already knows how expensive prolonged legal battles can become.
As for Harry, I've said nothing defamatory about him either. And he can't sue me either. And also, it's amazing that after 7 years with Harry, Meghan still doesn't know how to behave in the approximation of ladylike behavior. And she's still that rather greasy little chancer that she always was.
There is another reason the timing is particularly interesting. According to reports in the source material, Harry has reportedly faced a massive legal bill following his privacy battle involving Associated Newspapers and the Daily Mail. The figure cited is around $34 million. That number has been used in the reporting to suggest that another major court battle could be financially painful.
She and Harry have exposed themselves as having a track record of issuing frivolous lawsuits that they have been decreasingly able to get away with pulling the wool over the court's eyes. Let's remember Meghan's lawsuit against Associated Newspapers for breach of copyright and invasion of privacy. Remember the one where she lied and the judge more or less said that she lied, but he was going to let her get away with it, Mr. Justice Warby.
And this is where the story becomes more complicated, because reportedly, Harry and Meghan are not necessarily approaching the situation in exactly the same way. Reports suggest Meghan has been more eager to push back against the allegations, while Harry has reportedly been more cautious about another confrontation through the courts. That alleged difference is significant, because Harry has spent years fighting legal battles over privacy, security, and media coverage. So the question becomes, would he really want another courtroom battle? This time over claims involving his personal life? That is the dilemma at the heart of the story.
So I'm not at all intimidated by her or by him. And all I can say is if they think that they have an action that they can bring against me, bring it on. I'll see them in a court of law.
And Lady C, you are convinced that this story was brought to you by genuine forces, because this week there has been a bit, and I don't know if you believe that this is maybe by Sussex Squad goons or where it's coming from, but there has been a bid to suggest that actually the story was planted by Meghan Markle. Now, this is something, Lady C, sometimes celebrities do, isn't it? If they're trying to catch out a journalist or if they're trying to catch out an enemy commentator, it's like, let's give them a false story and try and make them look stupid. But you are convinced that's not the case.
Then there is the missing engagement ring. And this brings us to the second major piece of the controversy, Meghan's engagement ring. According to reports cited in the source material, Meghan was seen publicly without the ring for a period of time. The exact timeline has been disputed. One report mentioned several days, while another suggested the ring had not been seen publicly for several months. That discrepancy matters, because it shows just how quickly a simple observation can turn into a much larger media story.
Also, in the context, Lady C, of this missing engagement ring, which has been off for anywhere from 4 days to 5 months. So I just want to show you what Maureen reported.
It's been off for months.
Yes, I'll show you this reporting and then bring you in. Watch this, Lady C.
Meghan has not been wearing her engagement ring in public for at least 5 days. Now, Yahoo is actually reporting she hasn't been wearing it in public for 4 months. But most news outlets only realized this about 5 days ago, which tells us a lot about the waning interest in Meghan Markle in the marketplace.
The absence of the ring itself does not prove a marriage problem. People remove rings for countless ordinary reasons. A ring can be resized, it can be repaired. Someone may simply choose not to wear it. So the responsible question is not, does the missing ring prove the marriage is in trouble? It doesn't. The more interesting question is, why did its absence suddenly become part of a much bigger conversation? Some commentators have compared the symbolism to Princess Diana's famous appearance outside the Taj Mahal, where her body language was interpreted by the media as a message about her marriage. That comparison is speculation, not proof, but it explains why the ring became such a powerful talking point.
And Maureen suggested that Markle is trying to send a message in the same way Princess Diana did outside the Taj Mahal.
Do you remember, for those troublemakers who were alive back then, when Princess Diana sat in front of the Taj Mahal, surrounded by the world's media, alone, and she was sending a message, seated alone, one of the most beautiful women in the world. in front of the globe's most famous monument to romantic love. She was saying non-verbally, the rumors are true. The palace may be denying them, but the rumors are true. My marriage is in deep, deep trouble.
The source material also cites a reported value of around $140,000 for Meghan's engagement ring, making its absence even more noticeable to observers who closely follow royal fashion and appearances. And once people started connecting the missing ring with the other allegations, the story gained another layer. Then comes the claim that really pushed this controversy into another category. Reports discussed by Lady C and other commentators allege that Prince Harry had a special friend or mystery female companion. Again, this is an allegation, not an established fact. The source material itself describes the claims as allegations, while reporting that Harry and Meghan rejected them as unfounded. But whether people believe the allegation or not, the reaction to it became part of the story.
Meghan has not been wearing her engagement ring for some time. And it's ironic that on the one hand, you have Maureen and people who are more in the know making the point that there's trouble in paradise. Then on the other hand, you have people who are less in the know saying, oh no, there's no trouble in paradise. Romeo and Juliet are about to run off to Reno and remarry because their last marriage might not have been as valid as we'd like it to be, blah, 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 and all sorts of rubbish.
According to the reporting, Meghan was said to be furious about the claims and wanted them shut down. Harry, meanwhile, was portrayed as being less interested in escalating the situation, and that difference, if accurate, could explain why the legal threat angle suddenly became so important. Because when a couple is accused of something damaging, there are usually two ways to respond: ignore it or fight it.
But the mere fact that Meghan has been giving this message is something that most people have ignored, but she has. And as you and I and Maureen all know, Meghan is very calculated and deliberate, and everything she does is carefully thought out to somehow convey some message. And maybe she has been, I don't know, I'm only speculating now, but maybe she was quite deliberately keeping off the engagement ring.
But fighting it publicly can sometimes give the story even more oxygen, and that is precisely what appears to be happening here. Lady C understands something that most people involved in celebrity controversies eventually learn. Attention is power. The moment someone says, "We may sue," the public becomes interested in what the lawsuit would actually be about. People start asking, what exactly was said? What evidence exists? Who provided the information? What would happen in court? And what else could potentially become relevant? That is why Lady C's response is so important. Instead of appearing frightened, she has publicly presented herself as ready for the fight.
What's she going to sue me for? Observing that on the 14th of January 2019, the baby bump managed to be captured by the very reputable Getty News photographers as having dove from her abdomen to between her knees. The photographs are there for all to see. What's she going to sue me for? Saying that on the 16th of January 2019, when she, by her own account, had ideations, and that she'd been curled up in a ball and just distraught and wanted to do away with herself. But
she has even suggested that she has legal support prepared for different possibilities. That changes the optics completely. Suddenly, the story is no longer simply Lady C makes allegations about Harry. It becomes Harry and Meghan may take Lady C to court, and Lady C says she is ready. That is a much stronger storyline. If they never sue, the controversy may eventually fade. The allegations can be denied. The media cycle can move on. But if they do sue, everything changes. The case would have to be built around specific statements and legal arguments, and every new development could generate another headline. A hearing, a filing, a witness, a document, a response from the opposing side, another statement, another round of coverage. For a couple who have repeatedly complained about media intrusion, that creates an obvious contradiction. They could potentially end up creating exactly the level of media attention they are trying to escape. And Lady C appears to understand that perfectly. She has essentially challenged them to make the next move.
The whole thing is obviously, well, let me put it this way. In the nearly 50 years that I have been in the public eye commenting and writing on certain matters, I have never once been found to have been inaccurate or lacking. Now, I have that track record. Let's compare it to Meghan and Harry's track record, because they have proven track records of lack of veracity and reliability.
That depends on what happens next. Calling it a confirmed backfire would be premature. There is no confirmed court victory for Lady C here. There is no confirmed lawsuit against her establishing that Harry and Meghan have lost anything. What we do have is a very unusual confrontation. On one side are Harry and Meghan, who have reportedly rejected the allegations. On the other is Lady C, who says she stands by what she has reported and is not intimidated by the possibility of legal action. And between them are the unanswered questions surrounding the alleged mystery woman and Meghan's missing engagement ring.
Also, the idea that I would have been repeating something that came to me and that I was going to be so Meganian and Heroldian and stupid and cack-handedly naive as those two rather slick but inefficient operators are, that I was going to perform down to the gutter level that they perform at.
That is why this story has become so compelling. The real drama is not simply whether someone will sue, it is what happens if they actually do. Because once the courtroom door opens, controlling the narrative becomes much harder. Lady C has repeatedly suggested that she has nothing to fear from a legal confrontation. She's also argued that if the Sussexes believe she has crossed a legal line, they should prove it in court. In one of the source discussions, she says she knows exactly what she has said and believes a court would understand the meaning and context of her words. That is a remarkably confident position.
I happen to know that the people who brought this information to me are very reputable, reliable. They have positions in the United States. They are fully fledged, paid up members of the Democratic Party, and they have certain sympathies and positions which I am not prepared to go into in any great depth, but they certainly have positions.
But confidence alone does not determine a court case. Evidence does, law does, and facts matter. So the biggest question now is not whether Lady C sounds angry. She clearly does. The bigger question is whether Harry and Meghan are actually prepared to turn this controversy into a formal legal battle. Because if they do, they could discover that taking Lady C to court doesn't make the story disappear. It could make the story much bigger. And that may be the ultimate twist. They may believe they are threatening Lady C with a lawsuit. Lady C appears to believe they are handing her an opportunity. And until someone actually takes that next step, the courtroom remains hypothetical. But the public is watching.
The idea that I was going to somehow be duped by some third-rate operator who constantly is wiping her nose because it's constantly dribbling and has a glass of champagne or wine in her hand on a daily basis, like in an evocation of some drug-addled alcoholic, is quite ludicrous. And obviously I checked out. It came to me, and these people were absolutely upfront about who they are.
The ring has become a talking point. The alleged mystery woman has become a talking point. The legal threat has become a talking point, and now Lady C has thrown the challenge straight back. So perhaps the most important question is the simplest one. Will Harry and Meghan actually sue? Or will this remain another explosive royal controversy that burns through the headlines before disappearing? Because if Lady C is right, the biggest danger may not be losing the argument. It may be giving the argument a courtroom. Before you go, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications for more royal stories and the latest Harry and Meghan updates. And if you want to know what really happened behind another explosive royal controversy, watch the video on your screen now. You won't want to miss this one.